Hello and welcome to my review of the Chaos Hellbrute. Now, mine's in the Death Guard colours. It's not fully completed yet or anything like that, but I just thought with the advent of the Death Guard Codex, you know, and bringing it into 8th edition and things, I thought I'd just do a review of it. Now, this model will cost you £33. It's a fair bit of money, but if you get the Start Collecting box, which is £40, you get the Hellbrute with it, you get 10 Chaos Space Marines and you get a Chaos Lord. Although the Space Marines and the Lord are quite old models now, but you do get a fair bit of parts in that kit. So if you still need a Lord or a Sorcerer and you still need another 10 Chaos Space Marines, then paying the £50 is probably better than getting it separately. Now, this model was actually out of, I think, the Dark Vengeance box set. I think that had Chaos in, but such a fantastic looking model, really is. Just in one pose, it's got the multi-melter and this big power claw, very sort of active pose. I just had it for Chaos. You know, I didn't have a Chaos army at the time, and I just thought of recently decided to spray him Death Guard green and to start putting some paint on him and things and have him in the Death Guard army. Although he's got some points and things on there, he's also got some tentacle type things and some bony growths and some skin, you know, and bone. So I think he works quite well with a Nurgle army too. So yeah, lots of detail. I love the little face in there as well. Nice to see a Dreadnought with like a head kind of attached. It's got some, I say 6-pack, that's more like a 12-pack, isn't it, or 14-pack going on there. And yeah, lots of skin and sinewy stuff, and you know, proper like feet with toenails and things for his legs, and some chains, and he's even got a little mouth coming out of the hand, which is also quite reminiscent for Death Guard too. And then these kind of bony, kind of skeletal kind of chimneys, and then he's got like the flesh tubes, so you can colour them the same as you know, in your normal Death Guard Plague Marines. So there you go. I'll just show you some size comparisons. I've got a Beast of Nurgle here, just to show you. Basically, Beast of Nurgle is on the 60mm base, or I think it's 65mm base actually. You know, it just goes to show you how big a Beast of Nurgle actually is, really. You know, £25 model, £33 model. Beast of Nurgle is pretty big model when you look at it this way. So that's next to a Beast of Nurgle. I've also got a Demon Prince of Nurgle here, which is, I want to say smaller, but he's actually a little bit taller, and his sword is quite chunky. But yeah, he's a bit taller than the Hellbrute, but the Hellbrute is definitely got a bit of thickness going on. And then I haven't actually sprayed my Blight Haulers yet, but next to a Blight Hauler just goes to show you actually how big a Blight Hauler is too. I think Blight Hauler's on a, I want to say 70 or 80mm base, I want to say, but yeah, Blight Haulers are pretty big considering. And then the final sort of size comparison, just with a normal Death Guard Plague Marine, just goes to show you how big Plague Marines have gotten, but I think it's still in proportion somewhat compared to a normal one. And finally, some Imperial size comparisons. So next to a normal sort of Space Marine, he does yeah, stand quite a lot taller than a normal Space Marine, as you can see, and then Primaris as well. Primaris almost comes up to his head actually. So, and then the final sort of size comparison, just with a normal Dreadnought. I mean, normal Dreadnought is probably the one you sort of think of, but with his arm upright, he is taller. I think the normal one would probably be a little bit taller than the standard Dreadnought, but they're quite similarly sized out of all the models, out of all the comparisons, I'd say. But the Hellbrute is bigger overall. Finally, next to Contemptor, just because I've got one recently, Contemptor is taller and definitely a bit more of a match for it. So yeah, I hope all those size comparisons help. I seem to be adding more and more models in these size comparison videos, but yeah, I hope they help in some way. And now we're in my part of the review where I'll talk to you about all of the rules and things for the Hellbrute. You'll find him in your brand new Death Guard Codex under the Elites section. He's a power points cost of a 7, and he's a matched points cost of a 72, but then you've got to buy all of his weapons and things. So the multi-melter will cost you an extra 27 points, so that's 99 points. And his Hellbrute Fist is 40 points. That's 139 points for this model, which is a fair amount. It's still under 150 points. So what do you get for these sort of 139, 140 points then? Well, its movement is 8 inches. Not as fast as a Contemptor Dreadnought, but definitely up there with one of the fastest models in the army. You know, it's not as fast as the Fetid Bloat Drone or the Blight Haulers, but he is faster than like a Possessed or Beast of Nurgle or most of the army. His weapon skill is 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength is 6, toughness 7, 8 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership of 8 and a save of 3+. So that's alright, 8 wounds isn't too bad. It's odd because the Blight Hauler has the same number of wounds, just goes to show you how good the Blight Hauler is, but the Fetid Bloat Drone has more, it has 10 wounds, but they've all got the same strength. But the good thing about the Hellbrute compared to like the Bloat Drone, and it shares this with the Blight Hauler, is that the more damage it takes, it doesn't affect the damage characteristics at all. So it can be on its last wound or last couple of wounds and it doesn't affect it. A Hellbrute is a single model equipped with a multi-melter and a Hellbrute fist. There you go then. So that's the typical loadout I've got here. Its other weapons is Combi Bolter, Heavy Flamer. You can put those into each Hellbrute fist, so you could have a flamer in the fist if you really wanted to for this one. It can its main weapon, it can choose a Hellbrute plasma cannon, a missile launcher, multi-melter, which this one has, a Reaper autocannon, twin heavy bolter, twin las cannon, another Hellbrute fist, a Hellbrute hammer, or a power scourge. So a decent array of weapons there. It can replace its multi-melter with either a second Hellbrute fist, twin heavy bolter, twin las cannon, Hellbrute plasma cannon, or Reaper autocannon. It can replace one Hellbrute fist with a missile launcher, and it can replace its Hellbrute fist with a Hellbrute hammer or power scourge. And as I said before, it can incorporate a combi bolt or heavy flamer into each of the Hellbrute fists if it chooses one or two of them. So it's got a great flexible loadout here. Everything from the plasma cannon at 36-inch range to the missile launcher, very flexible weapon that. Multi-melter, which mine's got, which is great against the heavy armour, which I sort of wanted it to be. You know, Death Guard don't have a lot of great things that are good against heavy armour. You could have the Reaper autocannon or twin heavy bolters for the, you know, more DACA. Twin las cannon, that's a good option. You go for that for some long range weaponry. The Hellbrute hammer compared to the Hellbrute fist, still strength ×2, so that's strength 12. But instead of AP of -3, it's AP -4, and instead of damage 3, it has a damage of possible D6. However, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll, and with a weapon skill of 3+, you know, you're instantly knocking those 4 attacks 50-50, so you might only get like 2 of them really. Power Scourge. That just adds 2 to the strength, so strength 8. The AP is worse, it's at AP -2, and the damage is only 2. However, it can make 3 additional attacks with this weapon. Abilities then. Crazed. At the end of any phase in which this model suffers any unsaved wounds or mortal wounds, you roll a d6. And on a 6, this model immediately makes a shooting attack as if it were your shooting phase, if there are no enemies within 1 inch, of course. Or piles in and fights as if it were the fight phase, again, if there are enemy models within 1 inch. If there is no visible target within range, nothing happens. So that's pretty good. You know, when it takes an unsaved wound, you make a shooting attack. Battering Onslaught. Add 1 to the model's attack characteristic if it is equipped with 2 melee weapons. So that's only good if you give it 2 fists. And finally, Explodes. If the model's reduced to 0 wounds, you roll a d6 before removing it from the battlefield, and on a 6 it explodes, and each unit within 3 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. So it's a little bit like the vehicle one, but only 3 inches. So it's quite straightforward. Its keywords is Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic, Astartes, Death Guard, Vehicle, and Hellbrute. So it's a nice elite choice in summary. Obviously it's got a lot of competition from the main elite choices like the Tallyman and the Blight Lord Terminators, the Death Shroud Terminators, you know, the other individual characters like the Plague Surgeon, you know, even the Beast of Nurgle. You know, the elite section in Death Guard is heavy. There's a lot of elites in the section that would better suit the theme of Death Guard that you're going for. But if you want something that does have a good toughness, does have a fair few wounds, and does have that anti-tank weaponry and things, and you want to use that in elites, then this is probably a good option. I will say that it costs the same as my Fittic Blight Hauler, but the Blight Hauler is in fast attack. But the Blight Hauler is definitely more flexible in the sense that it's a little bit faster, and it's got some better rule sets as well, like the Disgustingly Resilient, like the Invulnerable Save. You know, for the same power points, you're getting a missile launcher and a multi-melter. Yes, it's not as good in close combat because it doesn't have the 4 attacks and it doesn't have the strength 12. And that's a shame. I would have liked to have seen the Hellbrute with extra abilities like Disgustingly Resilient for one. To me, it just looks like it's the same as, you know, in the normal Chaos Codex in terms of stat line and things. I would have liked some kind of Nurgle's Blessing on it, or, you know, something to just make it special for a Nurgle army. And that's everything I really wanted to say about the Death Guard Hellbrute. Do you take one? Do you normally take Blight Haulers or Terminators instead? Please do put all your comments down below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Papa bless.